Alright guys, so today I'm going to be canning beef stew. I have cut up my meat. This is just chuck steaks that I've cut up and chunked. And I have chunked some potatoes. I bought these baby carrots already peeled and ready to go. And then I cut up a little bit of celery. Alright, so I have my 2 inches of water in the pressure canner. This one is my Presto. And it's got 2 inches of water. I'm going to go ahead and turn my burner on, but I'm going to turn it low because I don't want it to get too hot. Alright, so I'm going to take my jars and I'm going to put roughly 1/3 of the jar with meat, 1/3 with potatoes, and 1/3 with carrots and celery. Pretty much like that. As you can see, we don't like a lot of celery in ours. I like a little bit for the flavor, but not very much. Most of this is going to be for my husband to warm up when I'm at work. And like most men out there, he's a meat and potato person, so just enough of the other stuff in to say he's getting some vegetables. I'm sure you all know what that's like. Just dividing the rest of these potatoes, carrots, and celery somewhat evenly between these 3 jars. And I'll go ahead and can that too in some of the juice or gravy, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I have 4 packages of beef gravy mix with beef broth and 1 packet of Lipton onion soup mix in here. Now what I'm going to do, I've brought this to a slow boil. In here I just put a little bit, maybe a 1/4 cup of water, cold water, and 5 heaping spoons of clear gel, the cook type clear gel, in here, and mixed it up. And I'm going to slowly add this to my broth until I get it the thickness that I want it. Alright, I don't think that was quite enough. So put some more cold water in here. 3 more spoons of the clear gel. Just going to add this in. Some air bubbles out. Should have about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of headspace. Okay, so a couple things. I'm using the clear gel because it's not safe to can with cornstarch. And in my experience and from what I've heard from others, canning with cornstarch, it just gets clumpy and not very good. So this is a modified cornstarch that you can with, usually used for your pie fillings and things like that, but I use it for savory items also. I've done this many times. It works wonderfully. You'll also notice I'm using several different types of jars. I reuse jars, and I guess you can call me a rebel in that way. I've always done it that way. Well, not always, but for a very long time, for a few years now. Never had any issues. None of this stuff lasts long enough on the shelf to worry about anyway, but that's just something that I do. Now I'm going to wipe the rims with some vinegar. This is just to get off any particles of food, any oils off your fingers, anything on here that might keep you from getting a good seal. had my lids and rings and stuff sitting in hot water. Ooh, that is hot. Guess I'm gonna have to use my gadget. Alright, so that one. Alright, now I'm gonna set these down in my, I already had 2 inches of water staying warm, a little more than warm, but not too hot. Because when I put that hot gravy in here, I didn't want to shock the jars and have them break when I set the food in. You can already see how pretty that's going to be. I'm going to turn that up and wait for that to start producing steam. In the meantime, I'm trying to decide if I want to run my second counter at the same time or just wait for these and run another load. I think I'll just wait. Alright, I'm going to take the rest of this gravy and put it in jars, and I'm going to can it just to have beef gravy. I'm doing it in various size jars. Number one, because I am limited on my jars, but also because depending on what you're using it for, you're going to need different amounts. Pretty sure I didn't get anything on these rims, but just to make sure, go ahead and wipe them off. Alright, this is already steaming, so I'm going to let that go for 10 minutes. Alright, so I let this vent for 10 minutes, and then I put the weight on, and it's at 10 pounds pressure right now. So I've set this in what I know is my sweet spot, and I'm going to let this can for 90 minutes, 75 minutes for pints, 90 minutes for quarts. So I'm going to let this go for 90 minutes, and then I'll turn it off. Okay, so the canner ran for the 90 minutes, and I took that load out and set it on the counter, and then I put the remaining jar of beef stew, the 3 jars of just the vegetables with gravy, and then the 5 jars of gravy in, and ran the second time for the 90 minutes to get those processed. And then they've all been sitting on the counter for quite some time now. They're pretty cool. I don't know how well you can see that, but it looks like beef stew. And then that one is the vegetables with gravy. And this one is gravy. It's a little thin when it's the gravy by itself, but I think it'll be fine. And the other thing you'll notice was I had one of the jars that I put in here was much bigger than a quart. It was an old pickle jar that I'd had, but I ran my stuff for quart times because I knew that we were going to be using that large jar for our dinner tonight. We have an extra person here, so that's the only reason. Normally you would need to run it longer for bigger jars. I'm not even sure they recommend anything bigger than a quart. But I didn't figure it mattered because, like I said, we were having it for dinner. So anyway, it's easy as could be. That's beef stew. Now these will get washed and the rings taken off of the regular canning jars, and they will go in my pantry. So thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will be notified of future videos that come out. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Have a good day.